Hi, we're here at the Orangeville Here Will Be Well open house with Councillor Joe Andrews. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Our pleasure to be here on the grand reopening of this wonderful facility.
Thank you. Here Will Be Well supports communities like Orangeville throughout Ontario, those rural, small, and mid-sized cities that are often forgotten by the larger corporations. Does that make a difference to a community like this?
Absolutely huge. I think that you have situations in many smaller or rural-based communities that unfortunately have fallen off the grid, and the grid from a health perspective. You have our provincial government that is spending a lot of time, and I applaud them for doing so on certain priorities within the healthcare system, but having an organization, a company such as this one here that's providing the support for those that have audio impairments makes a huge change in the community. And I think that having the opportunity of a grand reopening with an expansion also in our community is also impressive. There's an expectation when you move to a smaller community, things will not necessarily be as busy as they are in the larger center. The intrusiveness that exists with noise can be almost anything today. It can be vehicle, it can be construction, it can be someone's lawnmower. And it really is dependent on what the lifestyle of that individual is, where that hearing impairment may become more prevalent.
Absolutely. You had said that you worked in radio and television.
I did, yes.
And I've interviewed quite a few people, particularly in radio, who have had some hearing impairment.
I would say that, and this is one of the reasons that I have been a client here, fortunate that I don't require any assistance at this point. And that was really through the expertise of the staff here. The clinician was very clear in going through the whole process, was detailed and did a number of tests that I'm not at that threshold. My hearing is still very good. But to your question, yes, we used to wear the old bulky headphones, and depending on the kind of music format that you were involved in, I did everything from rock to adult contemporary and points in between in disco radio too. So you either cranked it up, or you ended up coming to a realization that the louder it was probably posing some issues for you from a long-term perspective. So yes, I've been always aware of it, but I think that you have others of our society that are probably just figuring that I don't need to worry about it, but it will end up catching up with you.
Right, and it
Very
does,
much.
because our generation, we were the first ones to be carrying boom boxes around on our
You
shoulders.
bet. Boom boxes, and I still remember the headphones that were quite large and gave you that wonderful stereophonic sound or quadraphonic sound, and you wanted to experience the Pink Floyds of our world or the Beatles of our world, so you ended up turning it up as loud as you could. But then when someone was trying to get your attention, they couldn't. And I think that that's something that we as a society have to become more aware of. I think my biggest concern is the youth of our society who are in fact utilizing their smartphones. They're great devices, they're helping our society in many different ways, but they too, with their earbuds, whatever the manufacturer earbuds they are, they're also listening to music, podcasts, and information louder than we probably ever had.
They have done some studies over in Europe that have demonstrated the earbuds that the youth are using, and I confess I use them as well, and turning them up so the music or even the podcast fills you completely is damaging hearing. But on top of that, it's creating these pockets of isolation, because you don't hear what's going on.
Exactly, and I think from a safety perspective, those are things that I'm always concerned about, especially when you have youth, and you go back retrospectively to when you had your boombox. I still remember seeing a gentleman many decades ago. He had his little AM transistor radio, and it was so loud, but guess where he had it? Close to his ear.
Right.
And he couldn't hear what was happening on the street. So with the earbuds, I know that there are different mechanisms of threshold that allow individuals to hear what else is going on, but not everyone ends up following that manufacturer's guidance. So having a company such as this one here makes a huge difference, and hopefully not only resolving the hearing issues that your client base needs to be supported in, but also provides education. Education is half the battle that we have in our society today. And if you have the right information, the right way of conveying it to whoever it is that needs to know about it, hopefully they'll be not having to deal with hearing impairment issues until much later in their life. We're all going to be affected by it in some way.
Eventually, 70% of people over 70 have hearing impairment, and to make the numbers be jolly good fun, 50% of those over the age of 50
Yes.
have some hearing impairment. So it's something that people need to wrap their heads around and do the things that they can to protect their hearing as much as possible.
I think we also have to come up with a way to maybe focus on selective hearing too, but that's a completely different interview altogether.
My dad had selective hearing. He actually had hearing loss, but he called it
Yes,
selective
yes.
hearing. Yes. Thank you so much for
our
coming
pleasure.
by today.
And again, congratulations to the Hear Well, Be Well organization. I, on behalf of the business, economic, and culture portfolio, which I chair, I am absolutely thrilled to see the investment that this company has made in our community. It goes a long way of not only reflecting the commitment that your company has made, but the difference it will make also in our community.
Thank you very much.